Hey guys, you're joining me on the moon for today's video, which, appropriately, is a book review of The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein, which it's shameful that I hadn't read it before, to be honest, because I hadn't read any Heinlein. And, well, now I have. I've read this one. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is a really interesting novel from the 60s, where the moon has been a penal colony for about 100 years, and it's set in the year 2075. And there's a lot of people that are up there, and they're all basically not quite enslaved, but not far off it. There's a warden that's still in charge of it all, and it's just not a very good situation for anyone to be in. A natural-born moon person, or loony as they refer to them, is Manny O'Kelly Davis, and he discovers that the supercomputer that has been running everything has become sentient, effectively, and thus spawns him finding a bunch of stuff to do with it, and then joining political revolution to try and get the moon its freedom. The book is really interesting take on conspiracies, revolution, and all sorts of thoughts around that. What makes a nation? How do political systems really work? What might the world look like in a world where we've got basically a penal colony on the moon? There's social systems in the book that you can't really imagine working in current times, but probably would if we gave them a shot, such as line marriages. So it's basically sort of polyandry, where there's polygamy and stuff, where there's multiple husbands and multiple wives, and it's all kosher with everybody. It's polyamory, but codified. It's nice. It's a well made system on that front, because on the moon there's a lot less female people up there, so women are more respected, but also in greater demand, shall we say, which is an interesting thing to sort of put in there. Some of the stuff that Heinlein has put in this book, there's some really fascinating ideas about just the way society could be. But at the same time, he also does use some weirdly dated things in there. The portrayal of Wyoming and some of the others, they're a bit funny representation of women in some ways. There's some very concerning ones that, well, I mean, the book is of its time. It was written in the middle 60s, and it shows in a lot of ways. There's several sort of weird bits with women female representation. The race, it's mostly a post-racial society on the moon, at least. There's still a bunch of stuff on the surface of Earth, Terra, or whatever you want to call it, where there's definitely some racism stuff going in there, but like the moon itself is a bit of a post-racial society, because they're all stuck in very trying circumstances. But basically there's a bit where they use blackface as a disguise, and it's certainly difficult to get your head around the fact that happened, but especially given the whole situation that we've got at the moment. But it's a thing that he did at that point. It was the 60s. He didn't probably realise just how bad that was, but still, it's a bit of an awkward one. As far as plot goes, it's pretty interesting to sort of see it all laid out. But the one thing that I find there's one thing that I find kind of interesting, which is there's a weakness in this book that's also a weakness in my own writing, which is that the main characters, Prof, Manny, and Wyoming, they meet very quickly and are very quickly fast friends, and they're the true companions, effectively. And it's very quick and not entirely realistic, I would say, but it's what happens in the book, and it's what I end up doing more than I like in my own writing, so I'll give it a pass. It's very telling about the human condition in a lot of ways, this book. There's a lot of stuff to do with humans just being not good at knowing what they want, or not knowing... it's hard to say, but it's a very interesting book, and I think that like the ending also, with the very, very quick ending at the end of the sort of deaths that are not entirely unexpected by that point, it makes a lot of sense, but it also does feel a little bit like anticlimactic, almost. It's a very clever book, and definitely deserves its place up in the annals of early science fiction, the classic science fiction, that sort of thing, because it really does go places that you wouldn't have expected to go at that point. It's good. It's a good book. So those are my thoughts on this book. I thought it was pretty good, so let me know in the comments down below what you thought of it, and hopefully I don't get decompression sickness or anything when I go back inside from being on the moon. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and that you remember to like and share it and subscribe to my channel. Click on the thumbnails down below to see other videos by me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!